Hi everyone, Erin Gurley here discussing my ED 627 resource file. The sources I've compiled support a unit on modern imperialism designed for an American history course. Based upon the reading level and higher order thinking involved in some of the activities, I believe this would be most appropriate for a 10th to 12th grade classroom. I'm going to start out with some of the highlights of my text-based resources. I've included all of the resources on my page, but I'm only going to talk about the ones that I feel like really highlight the unit. Addicted to War, it's almost exclusively cartoons. It's a fantastic resource for ESL, visual learners, or students with exceptionalities, struggling readers, what have you. This book is a key component for differentiating the text-based sources of this unit, considering a lot of them are more advanced. The next I want to talk about is American Cultural Imperialism Reconsidered. It's actually a collegiate article that reads at a 12th grade level. It's similar to what a student may encounter in a college history class, so it is important in differentiating the text-based sources for advanced students. This article addresses the underlying social motivations for imperialism, such as racism, religion, and ideas of cultural supremacy. Most importantly, it prompts higher order thinking, which I think is really important, especially in a high school classroom. Next, I want to talk about the reluctant imperialist. This is really important because so much of the information out there depicts the U.S. as a warmongering nation striving for world hegemony. This resource is not so anti-imperialist and provides an alternate perspective on the history, which, for someone who might be more pro-war or more conservative, it is important considering a lot of especially the text-based resources on modern imperialism are very anti-America, to say the least, so this is a really valuable asset for the unit. I've also included a primary source document, which is fantastic to always throw in social studies. It's a New York Times article on the sinking of the USS Maine, dated from 1888. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to move on to my best web-based resources. First for you, I have Maps of War. And let me pull it up right here. This was the New York Times article, by the way. So this is the Maps of War, and I'm going to play it for you guys while I talk about it. It's a web-based resource that I find absolutely phenomenal. I came across it while browsing on StumbleUpon, actually. I think it's an amazing resource considering it's a virtual map that allows students to witness the exchange of power and empires of the Middle East across time. So it's not necessarily pertinent to the Spanish-American War, but I think that it's still really cool nonetheless. So I'll skip it, maybe I'll fast forward it so you guys can kind of get the picture. No, it's not going to work. Okay, so moving on. This one is really cool also. I found something, it's called Imperialism the Game, and it's a role-playing game that's free online. It requires students to develop their own country and use their newfound wealth and resources to compete with other great powers in the realms of diplomacy, trade, and war. Your goal is to establish the preeminent empire of the world, and I would really compare it to almost an empire version of Oregon Trail. So I think kids could really get into this and it would be a fun way. Another thing that I thought about including in the unit, but it didn't pertain to this assignment, was having students play Risk. It's a classic board game that I really enjoy, and I think it would be cool for kids to play it in the classroom, considering, board games have lost their popularity in recent times. So the next source I want to talk about is Imperialism Basics. And this is a free internet website that's great. I've used it before. It's called studenthandouts.com, and it is, as they say, a free, fun, and educational test prep resource. They have everything from Hangman, interactive flashcards, multiple choice practice tests, playtime quiz games, and they all work on students building vocabulary pertaining to the subject matter, which is really, really good. So those are the ones I've chosen to highlight. So now I'm going to move on to my unique resources. I think these resources really pull the unit together by incorporating poetry, PowerPoint, political cartoons, and a fantastic graphic organizer. I'm going to start out with the graphic organizer. Let me reroute you to that. Here we go. Okay, so this graphic organizer I can't take credit for because I found it online. Next, I have a piece of period-appropriate poetry. So I'm going to pull that up for you guys right here. Okay. I found this on Fordham University's online reading resource. It's The White Man's Burden by Rudyard Kipling. This is a classic piece that will be sure to generate a lot of classroom discussion due to its controversial message. I think this would also be fantastic in integrating with students' language arts teachers, maybe if they're doing a similar lesson, or I don't know, it's just a great piece of literature that I think would really provoke a lot of discussion. I've also constructed a couple of PowerPoints. I'm going to pull one of those up right now. The first of the PowerPoints is the prose of imperialism. In social studies, it's essential to provide varying perspectives, and this highlights the Western world's contributions in science, technology, medicine, and economics. So it's just kind of funny. It talks about, you know, what you may think, what you might associate with imperialism, but what is possible, and it encourages students to draw their own conclusion, saying that the reality probably exists somewhere in the middle. And finally, the other PowerPoint I've created is a compilation of political cartoons. Okay, so these I kind of like took the best and then paired the pictures with critical thinking questions and asking them to identify what are the attitudes behind the political cartoons, which this is an important fulfillment of Connecticut core curriculum. It meets the standards by requiring students to identify the tone of the piece. And that about wraps up my resource file. Please feel free to explore the links on my page and add any comments about what I've done here in the discussions forum. Thanks for watching.